welcome back to another video. I know I look like Home Alone, but it's getting cold, so I need a hat on. Today, we're going to look at how to choose a specific place to film when you're at the location, as well as some tips on how to work with a model or talent. And I'm here with Andrew, he's over there, he's an incredible photographer, and he's going to show us his photography tips, and we're going to apply that to filming video. So let's go over and meet him. I'm here with Andrew, incredible photographer, and every time I'm scrolling on Instagram, I always stop when it comes to his pictures, even before I know it's him, because they stand out so much. And that's for a number of reasons really, but mainly the locations he chooses, the colours as well. His colour grade is really nice, that always makes it stand out. The poses he uses with the models, and the angles and the framing and the composition, just pretty much everything really.
I am blushing underneath this mask.
Yeah, you can't tell he's smiling. There was about 12 compliments there. It's too much for one day.
Yeah.
So we've chosen our location for the day, which is a car park, because we want like a sort of urban feel. But what I want to know is how you choose the specific spots within that location. And he's really good at it, so I'm going to ask him how he does it.
There are a few things that I look for. So firstly is what the sort of colours and textures are. So for example, behind me you've got a complete white wall, so I know for a fact that on there any bold colours or greys and blacks, they're always going to really stand out and they're going to contrast against that. But as well as that, it also goes back to the mood of the shoot and the theme of the shoot and what we're looking for. So on the mood board that we do beforehand, we'll have an idea of the kind of shots that we're looking for. And if we were looking for kind of some sort of really old school shots, we're not going to want a white background. So if we spin round to this side, you can see that behind me there's kind of really old brick, and if you're looking for sort of more of a classic old school kind of look, then all you have to do is literally, if you look 360 degrees wherever you are, you're always going to find different backdrops, different spots and different locations that you can shoot. But also it depends on how I'm shooting. So if I'm shooting wide, if I'm shooting like sort of 24, 35mm, I'm going to incorporate a lot more of that environment, whereas if I'm shooting tight, sort of 50mm, 85mm, all I need to focus on is sort of that small square that's going to be behind the model, and whether I want that to be plain, whether I want it to be textured, and basically just spend time looking around. And I do all of this beforehand to make sure that when it comes to the shoot, it's nice and quick.
The thing is, like, I know about like leading lines and framing things and depth, but you can't always find that, can you? It's not always available.
No, definitely
And sometimes you've only got like a wall to play with, so trying to find and create depth with just a blank wall is really difficult.
With this blank wall here, if you shoot straight on, you're really limiting the options of what you can do. However, going back to what I was saying about looking around 360 degrees, with a blank wall, you've still got 180 degrees to play with. So it may be that instead of going straight on at the wall, if you shoot at an angle, you may bring in more of the background, but also as well, it adds a different depth to the shot, because rather than just having a model here with a backdrop behind them, you can have the backdrop to the side. And also, if you're using a backdrop to the side as well, you can use that to reflect light. So especially like this with a white background, using that to reflect light, it actually fills in a lot of the shadows, and you get a much more interesting image than if you're just shooting straight on against a blank wall.
Great tips. So we're going to see him in action. Let's have a look at some of the shots he does. So when it comes to lenses and focal lengths, I really like Andrew's style again. That's always something like, because there's so many options, which one do you go for? I suppose it comes down to personal taste and your own style and however you're feeling in that day. So Andrew, how do you choose which lens to go for?
So again, it goes back to kind of using a mood board and the look that you're trying to achieve. But basically for me, it falls into one of three categories, and I've got a lens for each corresponding category. So I use my 16 to 35 if we're wanting to do full length shots where we incorporate a lot of the background, so kind of a lot of street style shots I'll shoot at 35 sort of 30 to 35 mil to make sure that I get all of that in. If we're working with kind of a bit of a blank background where the background is less important than the actual shot, I'll use something like this 50 mil here, where I'll get that nice shallow depth of field and the focus is all on the model. But also as well, what I do really like to use for the compression is a 70 to 200 lens, because it's sort of 70 to 100 mil, the compression that you get is really, really nice, and it's also really flattering to the human face as well. So those three tend to look after pretty much all of my images.
So when it comes to working with models and directing and coming up with interesting positions and poses, I've not had much experience in that, because I'm used to filming weddings and music videos or events where you're just capturing what's happening in the moment as opposed to like directing people. So obviously Andrew's got experience in that, and Ksenia, I'm so sorry, I'll start that again.
No, this is fine.
I'm terrible at names, and then when it comes to pronouncing names, I'm even worse. Ksenia.
Yeah.
There we go, we did it. Obviously is used to working with photographers, so she knows how to work with people as well. What tips could you give us for working together?
So for me, the biggest thing is making sure that your model feels comfortable. So what I'll always do is I'll start off by saying, you just move how you feel comfortable and I'll work around you. And literally in sort of the first 30 to 60 seconds, I'll know in my head sort of how much direction that model's going to need. So for example, today with Ksenia, I knew straight away that she moves really well, she's really confident in her posing, and that all I might need to do is sort of asking her to turn her head the odd way, or maybe hold the pose so that I can get it from multiple different angles. But if you have a model that isn't sort of as confident, that's when you just need to do a little bit more directing, especially at the start, until they get comfortable.
Ksenia.
Hello. There could be two options how it goes. It could be they'll be like, do whatever you want and I'll just capture it, which I enjoy because that gives me the most freedom in photography. Or it could be, I know what I want, you do this and you do that. And I'm also fine with that, because there'll be less of my input and I'll be looking completely different in a shot.
So really good answers, and I think sort of what I'm picking up from this is having an idea in mind to begin with, and maybe, as Andrew mentioned earlier, like a mood board or some sort of reference, and then we could share that before the shoot starts and work towards that. And then obviously when you get to your location, you might think of some new things, and then it's just about communicating that with each other. So it's a bit of both, isn't it? They go hand in hand. If the model's got some experience, they might have their favourite poses, do that, try and capture that. And obviously if you're an experienced photographer, you know what works good.
And also
I was on a roll.
And also, free plug, if you want advice on how to make a mood board, there'll be a video linked just up here that I did.
He's always one step ahead of me, because that was my next thing on my list. I'm going to link Andrew's channel down below to check out, and also his Instagram, as well as Ksenia's Instagram. So you can go and follow them and check out what they're doing, because they've got some amazing content. So go and check them out. What I like about it is they're communicating all the time with each other. Andrew's reassuring her that she's got the good poses. There's also like a relationship between the model and the photographer. I wonder how much of the poses are down to the direction of the photographer or the choices of the model. And it seems to be like a bit of both, really. Having that communication between one another is really important.
And it always works best if you can do as much as possible what you're comfortable with and what's natural to you. And then the smaller the directions from me, the better the outcome, because that way I'm not telling you to do something, you're not having to sort of think too much about it. I'm not saying put your arm here, turn your head this way, lean back.
See, I don't mind that either, because
Yeah.
some photographers, they're very specific.
They are, yeah.
And they'll be like, right, I want you to do this, this, this. And it's fine. It feels a bit more like machinery, but I'd
Exactly.
still do it. I'm a model,
yeah.
so I'll do whatever, really. Just tell me and I'll do it.
Quality. So really appreciated from both. That's a good point as well. Andrew just mentioned about the light. It's definitely nice and soft with this cloudy day with the light coming from this way. Definitely looks better. Like a big light box.
There you go.
Shoot, right, do you want the camera?
Doing my job for me.
So thanks so much for watching this video. Some great tips there from these two guys who are clearly professionals and know what they're doing. So give it a try. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Obviously, thanks so much to these two. Really appreciate the time. And yeah, see you in the next one. I always forget what I'm going to say. You probably already know that, don't you? Because evidently.